You're on trial. It says
I
trial
know.
there in front of
I
you.
know.
It doesn't
Look,
say, it says trial.
I'm on the. I just want to get someone done. No, I have to mention this because my wonderful girlfriend Julie got picked to do the trial, and these are 3 potchings. They're not actually whiskies. I have to just point that out. That are made using different yeasts, and the guys at Killowen are wanting people to fill in assessment forms. They have your names, so if you don't fill them in and say on the back of it, if any of them, I imagine if any of them end up at auction, you will be blackballed. So the whole point is an experiment and a test, and well, I'm going to wait until Julie comes over next week, and then we're going to do that as we experiment, and really looking forward to it because
Good.
I think yeast is another thing that people can be experimenting with rather than just cask finish expressions. They can do yeast. It's another different way of producing whiskey, different impacts.
Do you think that makes us more impact than anything else? The yeast? Do you?
No. Well, no. Well, it's one of those things that I'm sure that if you get the right strain of yeast, it probably makes more impact than you think. But it's a bit like when they use different strains of barley. People will argue, say, "Oh, it doesn't make much difference," but in reality, we kind of know that it does. Um, but there's probably not that much experimentation has been done, so it's kind of hard to value the impact. But certainly on the New Make Spirit, I think it kind of has to. Another thing, I've done a review for this week of Mira intelligence, artificially intelligent whiskey. Justin, AI, you'd love all that shit. It's like Mickey, what do you call it? Metal Mickey meets the Terminator in the whiskey bottle. So there's a review. I'm going to do a review coming out this week of that. So yeah, busy. You busy today?
No, did nothing. It's rained here all day today, and I am just absolutely knackered today. I don't know what it is.
You weren't engaged in manual labour by any chance?
No, I wasn't helping. My dad's been working on cars up on his shed, and yeah, he hasn't been. I'm not much help to him because I would probably make it worse than
Yes, you would.
better.
Yes, you would. No, I was working today, and I had a lovely group, really nice group, doing a whiskey tour in Belfast today. It was pissing out of the heavens, but we we met Jelvis. Jelvis, and we met the Hare Krishnas. I love Jelvis. He's hilarious. Is the worst Elvis impersonating busker in the world? He doesn't even know the words of the songs, but he just sort of mumbles along. And then we went into the friend at hand, and they met Willie, and Willie told him go on into the tasting room, and took him in and gave him a tour in around and all. They were very nice, and he's very fond of Americans as Willie.
Yes. Now, it's a double week this week because we've got the Whiskey Companion on, and we have Glenwinny.
We have our Carlos back. The Whiskey Companion is back, going to give us a review of auction prices and what's been going on in the secondary market. Some surprising stuff, and some stuff that actually relates to what we're talking here. We'll catch up with that later. And then we get caught with the Glenwinny Distillery, which was brought up to me a few weeks ago. What do you know about these guys? And I said, well, I don't know anything about them really. So we caught up with them during the week, and we had an interview with them, which was really nice, wasn't it?
It was because
there was food mentioned, so Justin was happy, very happy.
I know. I think there's food tonight again. Actually mentioned, so I'm looking forward to it. And I always love Ghostbusters, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you going to call?
Who are you going to call? If it's down around Bushmills, they're going to be phoning for it because they think there's a UFO landing. There's lights in the sky. This is Bushmills marking the 415 years of heritage. Economical with the truth. Opening of the new state-of-the-art Causeway Distillery. That's what it's going to be called.
Look at that there.
Yeah, it does look. It looks fabulous. It really does. Now they won't be doing tours. As far as I know, they're not doing tours of the new distillery. It's basically just going to be for the making of whiskey. Now they had the grand opening this week. Justin, your invite.
It must have got lost in the post.
Oh, aye. Aye, surprise, surprise, we weren't invited. Anyway, lots of the great and the good were there. But £37 million they spent on this, and it's going to be just for making whiskey for Bushmills. It's a different named distillery, the Causeway Distillery, but they're not going to. They're still just making Bushmills, so that's what we're led to believe. It's been a while in the offing. Now I know the plans changed a little bit from what originally it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be that they were going to take you in from the street at a time. I saw all that, but all good. But they're going to pay for it with the two new releases that we talked about. The 25-year-old at £800 and the 30-year-old at £1,900. There's a bit of we'll cover that later on in the show. The 25-year-old, by the way, there's 3,500 bottles of it, and it's going to be part of the core range because there's a release again next year. And the 30-year-old, £1,900 with 1,500 bottles, and it'll be released again next year. So they're going to up production in this facility up to 11 million litres. So that's big. Oh, and Bushmills, by the way, have become the sponsor of the USPGA, the golf.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
They've become the sponsors of the USPGA, which is a bit of a feather in the cap too. That's So all seems to be going great guns for them down there.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. Now, glass. Ching ching. Glass. There's a shortage of glass at the moment, and it's become extremely expensive. Glass prices have jumped up 26% from last year, and even Glencairn, because I was pricing these for a thing the other day. Even Glencairn, the glasses are going to have a 15% surcharge on them. Now it's down to energy costs, inflation, the war in Ukraine pushing up the prices and stuff.
We see one of the big glass factories in Alloa, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw there's a huge big glass factory in Alloa, yeah. But they have problems with shipping, all of that. So a lot of the bottles they'll probably try and redesign them quite quickly if this continues for much longer. Because 26% is obviously a huge amount. So what you'll see is a change in stuff happening over the next little while, I would imagine. A friend of mine bought a bottle of the Shackleton whiskey, and I said to him, "Oh, the heaviest bottle in the world," and he went, "I thought it was just me. It's absolutely, it's unbelievably heavy." These are going to be have an impact. All of this has to have an impact at some point. So expect the redesign of bottles. There's Mark.
Good.
There's Mark telling us he's not watching us tonight. All right, cheers, Mark.
he's watching. He's watching on two screens. That's what people do with YouTube. They watch on two screens. Watch the TV on two screens. Anyway, the boxing's all been lackluster at the moment, so who cares?
No. Right. Do you remember a few weeks ago I was talking about how Kentucky had dropped the cask tax. You know, the way they had to pay a small tax for every cask in storage every year. That's been dropped. Well, Nelson County Council have sort of hit back. Now, Nelson County is the home to Heaven Hill, Willett, Luxrow, Maker's Mark, Four Roses, Bardstown. It's the capital of bourbon in the States. Now, what they've done is the local council has announced that it's holding all new permits for any work around the distilleries. So if they want to do anything, they are going to, they can't do any building work. They've rescinded all of the building permits.
Why on earth would you do that?
Well, they haven't officially announced that it's in retaliation for the bourbon tax, but let's be honest, they're losing money from the cask tax, and now they suddenly hit out and halt the building work. It seems very petty, but it's nonetheless, that seems to be what has happened. Now, bourbon, it was announced this week that bourbon by 2031 is going to be worth $12.8 billion. So white, it just seems very, very petty. Now, they'll probably say it's nothing to do with that, we're going to do such and such, but let's be honest, that's what it's for. So again, something attacking the whiskey world. What it was announced, that, do you remember we talked about the Scottish advertising and how they were going to ban alcohol advertising? Suddenly they've done a U-turn. Nicola has left the building, so they've decided to do a U-turn.
Camper van in tow.
No. Jail cell. No, I'm only joking. I don't know whether she's going to jail or not. Her husband seems to be. But no, so that they've done a U-turn in that as well. So they seem to be making it up. They said they're going back to the drawing board. So they're making it up as they go along, I think. But yeah, that seems to be what's happening. And we're going through the news really quickly tonight because we want to get chatting to our car. I saw this, and it was sort of topical as of what being in Belfast and seeing the world's worst Elvis impersonator in Belfast, Jelvis. The Elvis Whiskey Company. Yeah, all celebrity endorsements. You don't even have to be alive. They've brought out the Midnight Snack, and it's flavored whiskey to taste like the King's favorite midnight snack. Now, if you're not sure what it is, it's a peanut butter, banana, and bacon sandwich. Okay, so if you want to pull one up there, Justin, let's have a little look.
Hold on. Look at that there. Look at that there. Oh boy.
Aye.
Even I feel. Even I'm retching. I'm retching.
Now, you pull this up. These things are like 11,000 calories or something.
Oh, it couldn't be. It doesn't even. It doesn't even look palatable at all.
On the bottle, you've got Elvis from the '68 comeback special in the black leather, and he looked absolutely magnificent. He was a good-looking guy. There's no two ways about that.
Oh yeah.
After the sandwiches,
aye,
it kind of went a bit south for him. Let's be honest. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, it may be tasty. I don't know, but surely everybody knows Elvis when he ate all the sandwiches. That's kind of where he ended up, you know. Anyway. Oh no!
He's one sandwich short of a picnic. I know. Like I don't listen. I don't put talcum powder in my head. I should put makeup on, but I don't wear any makeup. Right? It's the light above me. It's the light. It's the light and the proper microphone. That's what it is. I mean, but unfortunately, the YouTube budget won't stretch to a full studio, so we have to have this room that's supposed to look like my bedroom in the backdrop. You see, but it wobbles when you touch it. You see, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Justin, there should be rules against bold. You've got racism, sexism, Buddhism, and Baldyism.
I know. I don't know what the want. The one that like the set of Tomorrow's World or Doctor Who or something like that. There, I don't know. I know.
I know. You should write a strongly worded email of complaint.
I would. But who to? That's
Cat's wife, Margaret. Aye. Well, we bring on our card because we haven't seen him in ages.
Have we not? I thought it was every quarter we see him, and it is.
We haven't seen him.
I think
in ages.
it is. It's a quarter.
Here's our card. Carl, how you been keeping, Paul? We haven't saw you for ages.
It's been a while. I've been keeping well. Been keeping well.
You're looking well. Any special purchases? Have you bought anything nice?
Any special purchase? Well, I opened a special purchase that I had bought on my travels to Oxford, which was the Hibiki Master Select. And as you can see, I've definitely dug into it.
Yeah, we did a tasting last week of Japanese whiskies over in Ballymena, and we did a Hibiki. It's a super whiskey, it really is.
Oh, it really is, yeah.
Yeah, Hibiki. I don't know, Japanese whiskey. For some reason, some people over here have an impression that it sort of be cheap, rubbishy type stuff, and it's totally the opposite. It's actually overpriced.
Does that come from the Scottish one that people is good, but they send out there, and then when it's out there, it's even brilliant, and it's sort of
but you're talking about the Ben Nevis distillery that isn't the trendiest one in Scotland, but produces really good spirit. So then they shipped it over to Japan, put a new label on it, and won prizes all over the world. No, that Hibiki that Card has isn't one of those range. But yeah, so Card, give us an insight. What has the Whiskey Companion unveiled this weather?
Yeah, so this time, what I wanted to focus on was strictly Irish. So and also on that, I wanted to focus on Irish collections in general. So obviously you alluded to it there, in the news about Bushmill's 25-year-old and 30-year-old. So we'll talk about that later on, and
Justin's bringing it up here. He's skipping through everything.
I'll do it later on. We'll do
that later on, and of course, then the Dingle 10-year-old cask strength, or the 10-year-old single cask that came out. So again, something to put that into perspective. But to start, I just wanted to have a look at the most traded Irish whiskies in the last 3 months. So this is across all auctions. So you can see there that number one, so it goes top to bottom for lowest to highest number traded. So, you can see the Redbreast PX, Middleton Very Rare features from 2018 all the way up to 2023. And then 2 spots are in there as well. So the blue spot and the gold spot. So what I found interesting about this, other than it being all Middleton, was that it was good to see the spots getting in there. But it was the 2 cask strength spots that seemed to be the most traded. And to be honest, like the gold spot is a little bit over what the retail was. It was 115 retail.
I think so. Yeah.
So, to be able to pick that up on average for 140, just kind of shows that, people have a lot of faith in it for drinking. It is a nice drinker, as well as the blue spot. That retails at 80, and it's tough to get at retail, and like to pick it up for less than 100 is quite good, for the drinkers around. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about there. The 2023 as well, I think is an interesting one. I have started to post on my Instagram and Facebook when there's an auction finished, and this actually featured in one of the latest ones, where Whiskey Bitters had ended, and it was something that I wanted to bring attention to because a lot of people in the last month with it after being released saw that it went to the auction. There was 1 or 2 in an auction or whatever, and it was selling for like €500, €550. And people were like, oh yeah, that's grand, like I'm just gonna buy as much Middleton Very Rare 2023 and send it into auction. And you can see there that it's dropping down. So this includes like the high end 550 sales. But the sales have dropped dramatically since then. So I would assume, and I would expect to see that to continue to drop back to around the price where the 2022 is, and maybe even a little bit lower for a while. And I'd expect to see the 2022, 2021 to go up a little bit more, maybe another 5% up to.
I mean, the thing about this year's, I've heard that the 2023 release, there's not going to be any shortage of 2023 Middletons.
No, I don't think so.
There's another release coming in the autumn. I'm led to believe this year's release, and I do stand to be correct on this, but I heard there's 50,000 bottles of it being released.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So now, again, that's kind of unofficially, but there's not going to be any shortage of 2023 Midlands, so I wouldn't go crazy for them now, if I'm totally honest.
No, and look, I don't want to set expectations for people or discourage them, but or encourage in a way. But what we've seen with 2021, 2022 Midland Very Rares was people who worked in retail or had very good access to retail stores and supplies.
Or airports.
Or airports. They buy them up as soon as they came in. And even though there was a lot of them, like especially the 2022, there was a lot more 2022 than I think a lot of people realize. Yeah. But there was an artificial decrease of availability, which increased the demand because the people who were actually collecting couldn't put their hands on it. Yeah. So even though 2023 might have more in terms of availability or in terms of numbers, doesn't necessarily translate to availability. Because if people are still buying them from the source or from retail, it's just a vicious cycle.
I think it's kind of a bit crazy, and I think even some of the prices that people are paying for Middletons across the board at the minute are kind of artificially high for pretty much all of them. Okay, the old stuff is a different thing, but some of the newer stuff, I mean, it's artificially high, and once people, there's only so many people who are going to have collections of them, and once those are filled, there isn't going to be 30,000 collections of Middleton out there. There's just not. So,
Are people going to end up drinking it?
Oh no, they'll not do that because the vast majority of people that are buying them have no intentions of ever drinking them. So
it's one of those questions that you have all the time, and we won't know because we don't have a huge amount of data for the last couple of decades, and like the industry is always changing.
You'd need a crystal ball for that, Carl, wouldn't you?
You would, but even I have Middleton from 2018 to 2023 myself. I'm never going to go and backfill to 1984. But I do still think there'll be a market there in terms of anniversary bottles or the year means something to someone.
Yeah. I think that's a birth of a kid or something like that. When you get married, that's perfectly understandable. But the vast majority of these are not going to be drunk anymore. And let's be honest, the vast majority of them are not going to be drunk.
Absolutely.
So what's next?
So next up, I believe, is the Writer's Cash Strength.
Yep.
So this one was just to kind of show again, for leading on from our conversation there with Middleton. Another collectible yearly release with the year of release, so it can be that kind of anniversary or vintage bottle that people want or are looking for. So they just released the 2023 version of this last week, so they bumped it up a little bit in retail, recommended retail price to $150. The 2022 was $140, and then before that was $120. So just kind of looking back on it here, you can see there's one obvious one.
Was it a very good year? Was it a very good year? 2014? Is it like a Beaujolais?
Yeah. I think it was just a very, very difficult bottle to get. So I mean, that one's an interesting one. That it was nearly $2,000 just for that bottle. Someone really wanted it, but you can see even 2013, 2012, 2011, back when people weren't collecting these bottles as a collection, like 2011 is the first one that came out. People probably bought it, wanted to try it because it was a new brand, new Irish whiskey. Back then, how many distilleries or how many brands of Irish whiskey were there actually, releasing bottles or releasing cask strength bottles for that matter. So there's obviously going to be a lot less bottles in supply. And I think people have caught on to this now and see that it is a more achievable collection than Midland. You know, you only have to go back to 12 years.
Yeah, and the thing is, most of them are really quite affordable, and it's also a really, really pleasant drink. It's a really, really nice drink. I mean, it's at a price where you can afford to buy it and drink it. If you have a celebration, we got married that year, buy it at an auction, sat and have a drink. You know, so
Exactly.
I think Writer's Tears is probably going to do very good things in the years to come. You know.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree, and I mean, it's, you know, even you don't have to look too far behind. You know, with 2020 and 2019 doing good numbers as well, like 280 and 250 euro. So you know, the people who had the foresight to put the money into the bottles, if they want to sell it, they can, and they make a decent amount of money on it. So yeah, that was just something that caught my eye.
Yeah. Oh no, I think Writer's Tears are a good thing to have. Nice collection you have, if you know, and tasty enough whiskey. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Next up.
So then the next one, so this is a two-parter. So these are the Dark Gaelic range from Middleton. So I picked two of the Dark Gaelic collections. So the first one, Grinzel's, and the third one, Knockrath. So these are the ones that kind of trade hands the most in the last 3 months. So the Knockrath Forest here. So again, as I said, this was only released in 2020, I think it was. So not too long ago. The big one there is the Knockrath 37. So that was one of the ones. The story goes that the barrel itself was a leaky barrel. So, you know, they set out with the best of intentions to have a certain amount of sets, and then number 7 was a leaky barrel, and that was the one that had the least amount of bottles in it. So, you know,
they needed the devil's cask on it.
End it over it.
Exactly.
Aye.
So that's the one that kind of outperforms the rest. You know, I hear a lot of people, or you know, a lot of people go to Knockrath or Dark Gaelics, because they see that it's Middleton, and they see what Middleton Very Rare have done, and they want to try and get ahead of the curve.
That. Yeah.
Or emulate it, exactly.
Well, the thing is, it's actually you can have that as a collection, and it doesn't take up a huge amount of space. You know, if you're limited space, that you can have a nice collection of Middleton. They make a really nice looking collection, you know, and have it as a display.
But you need $4,000 for the set, but
but I mean, the thing is, there's plenty of bottles of Middleton Very Rare. There's thousands of bottles of, and they're $4,000 each. You know, 2009's 4,500 heading towards it, between £4,000 and £5,000. So I mean, that you could get that. That's achievable.
Exactly. And the thing is, like I put this in particular because Knockrath Forest sets come up very, very frequently, and people sell them as a full 3, 1 to 7. And at the time of release, they were brought out at €2,200, and that was the release price for the full set, 7 trees. And usually, when we look at these types of collections or whiskey, when it's sold as a set, it usually lowers the price because people don't want to commit to a full collection, or they're trying to fill in collections that they have with the bottles that they're missing. But in this case, you've nearly doubled your money on the set. You've lost money individually, and you can go out and buy the individual bottles. On average, you know, you have to be smart about it, for under €2,700.
Yeah.
And the big one is the 37.
Yeah. So if anyone's looking at collection, that's probably a good one to pick up.
I mean, if you have the money, you have the time. That's the one to go for and sell it as a set. It's a bit of a no-brainer.
Except Justin. Justin, don't you do it because you'll bankrupt. You'll bankrupt.
No, I would get done for insider trading or something like that. There, yeah, that's right. Yes,
Justin, please don't touch any of this. Every time Justin goes to sell something, the bottom falls out of the market. Every time, every single time he lost his money.
hope you don't go to Vegas. Just
No, he's been to Vegas.
I get pickpocketed on the way there. That's true. Well, listen. Right, okay.
Brilliant.
Do we need to move on before we lose the plot?
Justin gets pickpocketed in Vegas.
exactly.
So
So the second part of this was obviously the Grinsleswood.
Yeah.
So this was the first release of the Dark Gaelic, and this was a 9-bottle release. So a little bit bigger, but this was back when nobody really knew what Dark Gaelic was going to be. If it was going to be, an extended release, a yearly release, once off, and whatever. There was 2 bottles that were explicitly not sold in Ireland. So that was 3-1 and I think 3-6, if I'm not mistaken. And they're about 750ml bottles. And for some reason, 3-1 just decided to go off the wall and sell for €7,300.
It's nuts, isn't it? You wonder.
Crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. But
how many bottles were there of that sold at that price? Was that one bottle made that price, or no? What's the average price? Holy shit!
That's the average.
Holy shit! So
you
there's
now,
bottles going for more. Holy shit! Freaking hell!
Justin, the thing about it is that's not you wouldn't have bought that bottle. If you'd have bought that bottle, it would be about 50p. you can pick it up for about €2.
So, somebody would put the laser up, analyzed it, and discovered it was brown water. Yeah. I know.
So there's been 3 sales of the 3-1. So one was in November, that was €7,300. One was in March last year, and that was €7,000. And then November 2021 was €7,600.
Yeah.
So the demand is still there. So if anyone has a 3-1 and they need $7,000,
or
go ahead.
Or if you really want to kill the market completely, give it to Justin and let him sell it.
Yes, if the wife's going to divorce you and it's valued high, give it to me. It'll be worthless. Yeah.
Right, before we leave the Dark Gaelic, so I want to ask your opinion on something. Because I mentioned this on the show before, but I promise you now that I've heard that there's only a couple more of these going to be on sale. This is the Wishing Tree bottle, which is
okay.
So this is a bottle made up from all 6 trees of the Bluebell Forest collection.
Look at that there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Tells you about the single cask. At no point does it actually tell you what this is, because Willie in the friend at hand got Ger Buckley to make up a cask of leftover staves from all 6 trees of the Bluebell Forest strain.
That's amazing.
I mean, to be fair, Willie is nuts, but he is a genius. He really is a clever guy. But so this is an unofficial Bluebell Forest bottling. I know that Willie's going to keep at least 40 bottles for himself. They'll be for tastings, they'll be for the Duke of York, the Heart Bar, and all that. So there's only ever going to be 100 of these released to the public. What do you think that's going to be worth, roughly? Yeah, I mean, I know I'm putting you under pressure. Shouldn't really do that, but I mean,
what's the age of it?
It's a 17-year-old single cask, Middleton, very rare. And it's unofficially a part of the Bluebell Forest. It's made up of all 6 trees from the Bluebell Forest. It's the only time it's been done. And you can only buy it in that shop. There's no other avenue. They don't do online. They don't sell anything. They don't ship it anywhere. So yeah, and none of them have appeared at an auction yet.
It's tough to put a price on that. So for example, a lot of the Middleton single casks generally don't tend to take off, but I think with some right stories, and if this gets into knowledge of people who are Middleton collectors, you can name your price.
Because, I know a
very unique bottle.
I'm telling you, there's only maybe at most another half a dozen of these being sold, and at that point they'll be cut. And it's £825, which I know is quite a lot of money, but I personally think a single cast Middleton is, most of them's going to set you back 500 anyway. So honestly, this isn't mine, by the way. This belongs to someone else. I'm just
You're just scraping the box.
I listen. If it was Justin, it would be Justin would make a real pig's bread. Justin would have this dropped by now, right? So no, it doesn't belong to me. I picked it up for someone, but I think those are a no-brainer. I think they're just an absolute. I think it's the most likely bottle of whiskey in Ireland at the minute, if I'm totally honest. But anyway, I may have a vested interest in that because I work in the place. But I'm only letting people know because in a few years' time they'll be kicking themselves. They don't get one.
Yeah, no, that's fabulous.
So can I say hello to a few people tonight?
Fire away, buddy.
Because it's misfired. Thomas Jones, better say hello to you. Jim Young watching tonight. Didn't Lauren do well? Brilliant. Julie Mason, Anthony Sillett as well. Peter Stewart as well. Missed order in the Cologne the trial as he was traveling. Glad to see you back traveling, Peter. Jim Young, well, that was a massive shift away from the Well Bushmills brand name. Well, I don't know about that. The Causeway, who knows? It'll eventually be integrated. That'll all change when it's sold eventually.
What's that?
Glass shortage. What about plastic bottles? Jim was saying, what about plastic bottles and the glass shortage? Well, God forbid, tin cans are a thing already.
Well, what about going back to the days when you took a jug up and just got it filled yourself? Why can we not do that?
I love that. I love that. It's lovely when you do that and that. Again, and those bottles and all.
All those old collectible branded stoneware, earthenware, whatever you call them, jugs that that's how they used to sell it. You used to go up, get it filled and take it home with you. Why not do that again? That seems perfectly logical to me,
I wouldn't go for plastic now.
No.
You'd be afraid that if you were getting a cask strength whiskey or anything, you'd start pulling in any of the pollutants of plastic.
Just dissolve it.
Yeah, or dissolve it and put a leak in it.
Yeah, but I mean, I know.
Although the little tin cans, the
the
ones
dram in the can.
The dram in the can. I got that in the Dublin airport. I have to say, if anyone's going through Dublin airport, you get one of these and use it on the plane.
Oh,
change your life.
There you go. But no, honestly, yeah, that's a great wee idea. Yep. It's a bit gimmicky, but actually, now you think about
it's a job. 100 mils.
Yeah. 100 mils.
£6 as well. Yeah, not bad.
That's all right. Is that all? Jeez. Right. What else have we got to do? What else have we got to do tonight, Carl?
So there's 2 left, I believe. So the next one is Dingle. So again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying.
Dingle Dangle.
The start. So Dingle obviously came out with a 10-year-old single cask 2 weeks or last week, the end of last week, and it came out at a very high price point. I got a lot of people talking. €385 for a 10-year-old whiskey, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was. To be fair, the presentation's really nice.
It is lovely,
really nice. And that's going to cost money to do that. But yeah, it's a bit nuts.
But it seemed to have a lot of interest. It was sold out within, I think it was an hour.
If you could go on the website,
if you could log on, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried.
I mean that. To be fair, the whole thing. I mean, the bottle looks fantastic and the box looks amazing, and I'm sure the whiskey's very tasty. But it's overpriced, and the website. I mean, they were selling a cask of this, so 200 odd bottles. I never really checked, and they're getting. What do you say it was? 300.
385. Yeah.
So basically €400. Put a couple of 50p's in the meter and get the bandwidth sorted out. I know it's sold out, but I mean the whole thing was just a bit. It just seemed a bit odd,
Mm-hmm. No, it was very strange, but it got me thinking. If they have 250 people minimum, willing to buy this bottle, and enough to hit a website to take it down, how are they doing in the secondary market? Like, how was their prices there?
Yeah.
And so I went to the single malt releases. So this was the release that they had, that Graham eventually stopped. So we had a look. There is 6 of these. I don't know why I only have 5. That must be my bad. But yeah, the 6 is just as good as the 5 in terms of prices. So you can see there batch 1 and batch 1 cast strength are the ones that people want and want to get. They're still going strong. Now they did take a dip for a while there, maybe over the last year, 2 years. And you can pick up a cast strength, a batch 1 cast strength for about, I think it was €600-700. And then the batch 1 itself dropped as low as €200, I believe. So that's after recovering, which is good to see and encouraging. But the rest of them are kind of negligible, like batch 2 and batch 2 cast strength. Yeah, they've gone up. They would have been retailing about €80 for the batch 2, 130 for the cast strength. And then the rest of them are like, the batches themselves, the non-cast strength batches, are all below retail.
I think probably anybody who's wanted to collect it has it collected. To be honest,
it would have, yeah.
I think that's probably why that has happened. There's no massive demand for them anymore. The way things are going with these collections and collecting and so on and so forth, I think there are producers who are being sucked into by this that are going to come a cropper. And I think the next one we're going to talk about is an illustration of this. And it's the distillery that everyone really, really, really wants to love, and they keep just doing things that just annoy people. Bushmills.
Yes. Bushmills. The Causeway Collection. The bane of my existence. Like, I'm gonna have a little bit of a rant because, like, I actually putting this together. It took me 4 hours to put this together because I hadn't kept up with all the Causeway Collection releases, but so I had
Saint
about
Carl. We're going to call you Saint Carl from now on. 4 hours to do that.
I'm telling you, 4 hours.
You have a computer database. You go, AI, put me together the Bushmills 25 years, and it goes like that there.
It took me 4 hours, not because I'm slow or anything like that. Like, for people that don't know, I work in IT, right? So I put all this into my database, and I match that to the whiskey sales of all the different auction sites, and I have to make sure that they're matching the same names or they're matched in some way.
I don't know how you
and then go that way.
Because the search engine in these things are nuts.
No, they're crazy, but they have like so many multiple bottles that are the same bottles.
Yeah.
And all that's different is that they're bottled in a different year. But they don't say that. And the auction sites don't say that. So then I have to figure out myself by going to all the other auction sites which one is which. So they have like a 30-year-old new American oak. They have a 1990 American oak. They have a 1991 American oak, all 30 years. They have a 25-year-old Malaga cask. They have a 1992 Malaga cask, which is also 25 years.
Yeah, that's 25.
Oh my God.
It's so frustrating. I mean, it's just, how's that supposed to be a collection when someone like yourself, who, I mean, has the app, the Whiskey Companion app, has the huge database of stuff that you have, can't make top nor tail of it. I mean, to sit and go through all of this, how's that a collection? It's just mental.
Oh, it is. It really is.
Anyway, tell us.
I went through
it. These are Bushmills over 25 years. Now, bearing in mind, Bushmills have their annual release, 21-year-old, part of their core range, and you can buy it for, if you go onto a website, you can buy it for like £160 every year. So, give us an update on what they're doing, these 25 plus.
Yes. So, for those looking, the blue is the retail price. So that's what they recommend the retailer to sell it at, or is what is available to buy right now in shops. And the orange is the average price at auction that it is sold at, so the average hammer price, excluding fees.
Now, so, Carl, I'm just noticing, just very quickly, there's only three that you would have to pay more than retail price to get. All of the rest of them are less than retail.
Exactly. And the 33-year-old port cask, that is an exclusive to Heathrow Airport. There's only been 2 sold, and it was only released in March this year. So I would expect that to go down with more people getting it and selling it along. I don't think it'll stay up high very long. The 28-year-old New American Oak, again, is a newer one. Also travel retail exclusive. So again, I'd expect the same. The people who money is no object are just saying, okay, I'll just have it. I'm not flying there, or I'm not going through that airport. I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
So just looking at this, I kind of want to bring attention to the fact that we have 2 new Bushmills after coming out or being announced. 25-year-old Bushmills, which retails at €800 or €850, and the 30-year-old, which retails at €2,000. Looking at here, the top 4 are all 25-year-old. So the 25-year-old Madeira, the 1997 rum cask, the Marsala cask, and the Malaga cask, and they range from €400 to €550.
Yeah,
which is right in the ballpark.
I think it's fair enough.
25-year-old.
For something that's 25 years of craft and making, and I have a couple of the sort of aged Bushmills cask strengths open here, and they're it's fabulous stuff. I mean,
it's unbelievable whiskey.
Top drawer, but
who you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
all of us. Do you know what I'm thinking of doing with Justin? I'm thinking what we should do, us people who like to drink whiskey, is club together, get Justin to buy one, give him the money to buy a bottle. Then if he puts it on an auction and the price collapses, we can swoop in and buy them. I think that's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Because we'll get our money back. Anthony will sponsor him to fuck up. Sorry, Zuckerberg, to piss off out of the place.
Yes.
But no, that's what I say. The pricing for these 2 new bottles is just nuts.
It's unbelievable. And I mean, like going back to the Causeway collection, not only are they cheaper for the same age, or some of them older, so you can go all the way up to 30-year-old New American Oak, and they're all cheaper than the 25-year-old core release that's coming out.
It's going to be released every year. Yeah,
they're limited edition. Like you actually can't get these anymore.
Yeah,
like once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't know where they came up with the pricing. And you can't even say they went off of market demand or market value, because the last 2 port casks that they released, the 32-year-old and the 33-year-old, still come in way under what they're charging for the 30-year-old.
I know there's put it like this: Harrods at the minute are selling a single cask 27-year-old Middleton Very Rare. Okay, now we're not going to talk about taste and that kind of thing. Bushmills can be a better tasting whiskey than Middleton, absolutely. But in terms of collectability, Middleton are head and shoulders above Bushmills. I mean, just people want Middleton. Harrods are selling a 27-year-old single cask Middleton Very Rare for £800.
Yeah.
I mean, a single cask from Harrods is about the same price as a 25-year-old jet core release from Bushmills. It's nuts, and it's just if you go onto some of the websites and groups and stuff, guys are just livid about it. It's just crazy.
And I don't blame them, because I've seen on the groups as well. Like there's people who are diehard Bushmills fans, and they've been waiting for the sleeping giant to wake up, release something, and take on Middleton. And they thought the Causeway collection was going to be the thing that did it, and like they just completely botched that. Botched it.
Dozens of different ways.
Yeah, like we could sit here all night and discuss it, but I'll digress for that. But then they come out with the 25 and the 30-year-old, and they botched that. And then there's going to be another one that's going to be, a higher age. There was talk that they were going to have another higher age again to compete with the Silent Distillery from Middleton. And it's like, do you trust them to actually come out with something that makes sense or would do it justice? And right now, I don't.
No.
I don't.
Tell me this, Pavel Joseph is one of many people tonight that has got in touch. I'll read out the name. He says, what do you think of the Middleton single cast? Loads of people on tonight. WD O'Connell Whiskey Merchants are watching. Rick Duchat's watching. Drawn Trednick's watching. Alas Linus, Mashia Pink was. David Klein. Trevor Watson's watching. Debbie McDeard. Dennis McGurton. Stephen Lockard. Patrick Mulkey and Jamie Jameson, amongst others, are watching tonight. But Pavel Joseph, what do you think of the Middleton single cast 21-year-old price, €490 before we go?
I think that's it. I think it's a great price. A great price.
That's the Heathrow one, is it? World of Whiskey exclusive, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what he's talking about. But honestly, 21-year-old single cast Middleton for $490. I think that's a great price.
If it's the one that I'm thinking of, there's 180 bottles and €490 is a great price for that. For such a limited.
I think it is. Aye. Now, after our little rant about, as you called it the sleeping giant, I think it's not that sleeping. I think it should be the giant. Don't forget, Bushmills lost sales in America last year. Sales are up all across the board, but they lost sales in America at a time when Irish whiskey's booming. Yeah, I mean, it's a very strange thing, but
don't they supply the one that's nudging closer and closer to them?
Aye. But no, I mean the thing is, Bushmills make some of the best spirit in Ireland. They really do, and I just wish that I think I'm in the same boat with everybody else. Everybody wants to love them, and they just keep doing things that annoy everybody. Just really, really, really. Anyway, we could go on all night. Now, Carl, thank you ever so much. The Whiskey Companion app. You can go on, pick it up. It's a wealth of knowledge. I use it all the time. For prices, for looking for retail stuff, history of bottles, news. You do everything, buddy.
Yeah, it's very good at working out how much you've lost.
not in my case, Justin. Not in my case. In your case, possibly. Not in mine. Now,
all right,
Carl, we'll catch up with you again soon, buddy. Take care. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Now, we went on with our good friend Carl there because we had a lot to rant about. But going from one of the big names, oldest distillery in Ireland.
Don't go, Tony. There's more.
We're not finished.
There's more tonight. It's a feature-length one tonight.
We're feature length. We're like a movie tonight. We caught up with one of the new, smallest distilleries, the Glenwinny Distillery down near Enniskillen in Lisbellaw, and we had a chat with them during the week. So yeah, do I play the?
Marty, there's food involved in this.
Oh,
there's food involved in it. The Dog and Duck at Glenwinny and Lisbellaw, they do food, and we're doing it down the line. Why are we not there?
It's a whiskey show, man. Will you stop? Will you try and learn something about whiskey and forget about the food?
You're always putting it with chocolate and cheese and little salads. I could be there having a steak.
Yeah, aye, but the thing is, you have it with... Right, stop having a domestic, right? We're going to introduce our guests tonight because this is a little distillery that popped up with me when a girl asked me did I know anything about it, and I had to say no, I don't, because they've been kind of flying under the radar. And this is down at the Glenwinny Distillery, and we're joined by John and Margaret, who are well, it looks as if it's almost ready to go. John, Margaret, how are we? Are you good?
Hello.
Now, you guys have been kind of flying under the radar.
Yep.
Getting it up and running. Right, tell us what's going on. How did this come about? What's happening?
Well, we've always had in mind to open our own distillery, and we were living in England for a very really long time. That's actually where we met.
Okay.
And we thought it was a bit difficult to make Irish whiskey in Bristol, so we kind of moved to Ireland. So
It's handy for the technical specifications.
Yes, yeah. So I'm originally from Enniskillen, many moons ago, and as with a lot of people, you move away when you're 18 and you stay there, and then we decided it's time to come back, and John, my husband, came back with me, and realised it's the wettest place on earth.
Yep.
And yeah, we decided kind of everything kind of came together really, and we thought if we don't do this now, we'll never do it, and here we are. So yeah.
And where exactly are you? Because lots of Lisbellaw, a lot of people will be going,
What?
What?
So we're in County Fermanagh.
okay, beautiful.
So Lisbellaw is a lovely little village which is just on the Belfast side of Enniskillen. So as you head from Belfast towards Enniskillen, we are just about 7 miles outside. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you can be there in pretty much no time.
There you go.
Oh, he's got his map. Yeah, there
Look
we
at
are.
that. A map has appeared and we're zooming in. There we go. It's dead easy to find. Look at that there. Look at that there. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Now, what there's people who have started distilleries, but what's your background? What made you decide to do spirits? That you always drinkers and you want to do it in the cheap in the house? No?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's no better reason, is there?
There's not. That's exactly why I would start one.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, economy of scale.
Yeah, exactly. What is your background?
I'm actually a pharmacist by background. So there is some chemistry still in the brain somewhere. But as you say, what you said is not far from the truth. We like whiskies, and we always have, and we just thought if we don't do this now, really, it just kind of everything came together at the right time.
Yeah, and my background is even further off. I'm an architect. Well, I trained as an architect, and then I moved into software development, and I work in an engineering company. And it's passion. It's passion, but we're both practical. We're both hands-on, and this is kind of one of those things where you think, what am I going to be doing when I'm 50? I don't want to be sat behind a desk when I'm 50. Yeah. So
Exactly. But there's quite a few people who are engineering-y, that kind of sciencey background who move over into moving over into this spirit production, because let's be honest, that is a lot more fun.
And I think their jobs have driven them to drink. So
I could see that. I could understand that. But you guys are attached to a bar. You've got a pub, the Dog and Duck, which is basically where Justin wants to go. I come into the distillery, he'd be sitting filling his face like that.
Yeah.
So
we could even go out in a wee boat, because the wee boats are not too far away.
Yeah,
they're not too far away at all. Yeah. So well, due to the complex and kind of archaic alcohol licensing laws in Northern Ireland, to be a producer that can sell direct to the public, you have to have what is called an Article 51A license, which is a full pub license and off sales license. And
it could be worse. It could be worse, Margot. It could be Area 51.
Sometimes it does feel like it is. Yeah. And so what you have to buy effectively a pub license, and they are finite. So even though they have brought in a change in the law recently, I think it was 2 years ago, where producers can purchase a license to sell their product to the public. It comes with its own limitations, and if there are certain hours where you can sell, etc. So we just thought we do this, and this gives us our outlet. And to be honest, there is nothing wrong with owning a pub.
Yeah. It was a circumstance. We were in the right place at the right time to buy a pub.
Yeah.
And it suited everything. It suited all of our needs.
Yeah.
And it might, it definitely changed the plan a bit. The way that we've gone about setting the distillery up is probably more aligned to tourism, education, definitely on the smaller side than we would have done.
Yeah.
But it's fine, for where we want to be. The goal of this project. Yeah. A smaller production capacity really isn't a problem right now.
It's all on one site. So
we're a micro distillery. So at the very front of the building, if you look at our website, it gives you a really, really good picture of the front of the building, glenwinny.com, and it shows you the pub. And then at the back of the property then is this micro distillery. Yeah.
Now, obviously, with science background and the chemistry background, Margaret, and John's engineering background, is that sort of a happy marriage of skill sets where you do this bit and he does this bit, or or does everybody there's crossover?
I think so, but I think ultimately we are both passionate about it, and whether or not we had that skill set or that kind of background, I think if you're passionate enough about something and enthusiastic enough about something, that you will naturally learn anyway. So I think, yes, it's great that we have that skill set, and it has helped. And John is probably the most practical person you'll ever meet. Like, there's nothing he can't do or fix. So yeah, it's great.
I need you around my house. There's loads of stuff.
Yeah. So he'll turn his hand to anything, which is fab. So it's kind of worked out both ways.
Yeah. Now, your stills, you've got this idea. You want to build a distillery, and you've obviously plans change along the way. But I can see the stills behind you. Did you? Who made them for you, or are you allowed to say, or did you buy them in from? What? It's very specific shape.
Yeah. So we went through. You can just imagine that the number of different approaches we went through for this. Yeah. And you've got to weigh up all the constraints and different.
There were many spreadsheets. John is a lover of spreadsheets. There were a lot of spreadsheets with pros and cons and prices and
And in fact, this not many people know this, but we actually had foresights in to come and write us a spec.
Yeah,
and, that would have been cheap. They didn't give you a nice quote.
They were lovely.
They were lovely.
Absolutely.
And really great.
And we said we would love to. In version 2, we will come to
Yes, in version 2, we will come to you. So
when we're up and running about 5 years, what we'll do is we'll get it planned for the next 10 years because they're that busy banking.
They were great for such a fantastic company, well known, and like they're an industry gold standard.
Yeah,
they weren't like you're too small or you're like nothing. They just were like, yeah, absolutely, we're game. Utmost respect, really. So
So
I think they have a 4-year waiting list at the minute, something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
But our goal really around the whole distillery side was kind of modularity, the ability. We know that on day one when we do this, by the time we get into a year, we're going to want to change something. Something will want to change. So very simple. The principles we had were, it was direct fired. We want that.
Very nice.
We want it to be as flexible as possible. So whether that was the fact that we wanted to be able to change the reflux, we can have a lighter or a heavier spirit. We want to be able to chop and change the helmet on it for we want to change the line arm, lots of different things. So that was the goal. So what we've got now, we're just about, it's kind of in the commissioning stage.
Yeah.
And once we've tested that with a whole range of different, mash bills, then we'll go, right, do we like it? Would we change anything? Is this it?
Yeah. Now you've got your stills. You decide, right, we do this and decide what your capacity is going to be. Now, I got sent a newspaper article. That was one of the things that popped up with the newspaper article, and it says that you're wanting to do experimental distilling. You're wanting to do experimental mash bills, I assume. Yeah. So is it pot stills going to be your primary point?
So I suppose pot stills are, so obviously with our stills that kind of dictates a certain amount of flavour and
well, we don't have any plates, so we're definitely doing pot still. but I think when we say experimental is a funny word, isn't it? But a lot of compare ourselves to a few other places coming out. There are some places that dictated going back to tradition. We're going to rediscover the history of spirits in Ireland,
and look at old mash bills and the history, and that is not what we do. We have no history. We are proud of that fact. We don't have any old mash bills sat there. So I suppose yes, the fact we're experimental is the fact that we can play with different mash bills, different flavors, and because we are so small, gives us that agility to kind of to allow us to do that, really. So that's kind of where the experimental came from.
Yeah, good. the idea of doing these different mash bills, and I mean, there is all the talk and about the technical file widening for Irish pot still whiskey. Which is that? Do you see yourself recreating and doing something a bit wacky and zany, or keeping it within the sort of more traditional and doing potchines and then extending from potchines out, or what?
I think it'll evolve. And to us, actually, the potchine, we'll come on to the potchine in a second, but the technical file is really limiting. And so there's no point in saying too much about it, but we'll definitely be going outside the technical file. There is no question about that.
Yeah.
When we first start, we'll probably be running some very traditional, we will do a single malt because we need to understand what flavors we're getting out of 100% Maris Piper sort of.
Maris Piper? Maris Otter.
Maris Otter, sorry.
Well,
he's thinking about potching.
It's funny whenever you say
we're going to do Chris as well. Chris always go down well with whiskey. Yes, great.
Here we go again. Food. Jesus.
Do
potato bread.
Maris Piper is great though, to be fair.
It's funny you say your malt whiskey's your baseline. A lot of people see that as the premier product, but in Ireland that's the baseline you work off at for your pot stills.
Yeah. So it's just, I guess it's having just an interest in trying some, and there are, and it's not saying we're the only ones, there are lots of small distilleries out there trying some really interesting things. So it's just kind of doing something and questioning, why are we doing it? Could we do it a different way? Could we do it? And we'll move between triple distill stuff to double distill. We're not really fixed on any one methodology.
And I mean, you're still set up. I see the big coolers just in between the two of you there. That how much reflux are you going to be getting out of these stills? Because you said that it's variable, and obviously the more reflux, kind of the lighter the spirit in many ways, and so on. With the shape of the stills, do you envisage it being lighter in style, or are you just going to experiment until you find that's what we want, irrespective of any direction? What way are you going to do that?
Well,
I think when we had the stills made, we kind of had, a profile in mind. So go on.
We don't know if we'll be right there, though. So it's a big gamble, isn't it? But there's no question. The more whiskey shaped helmet still is going to be with direct fire, it's going to be a heavier spirit. Although it's got a shell and tube condenser on instead of a worm tub, and there was a specific reason we did that. We might go into that. But obviously the other still, a more of a kind of lembic type still, and that the funny little UFO shaped thing on top of it,
which I call a noodle, but it's not a noodle. It's a amalgamator.
So the fact that we've got a death flag on it means that gives you that control over what to really play with the weight of the spirit.
And obviously I'm just thinking, one's a chemist, one's the engineer. John, you're very engineering-y talk there. Margaret, the chemistry elements, are you maybe experimenting with fermentations and different style of fermentation, yeasts, that kind of thing?
And yes. But I'm also cautious of us sounding like we're a shop that does everything. So so we're going to do this and this and this and this, and actually we'll produce nothing. So yes, the idea is to experiment with fermentations and different yeasts, but I think we very much need to start with our baseline just to see what flavors our stills are giving us and what the spirit and how heavy it is, just before we start kind of really starting to push boundaries, because there's no point. We have to have some type of constant to measure stuff against.
In our kind of yeast trials, I think we've decided on the one we're going to start with. And I'm not going to say what it is.
No.
You could probably. I could say that it does.
No, just leave it.
Okay. Another domestic in the oven here, Justin. Be careful.
Listen, the rum's going to be strong and dark. Is it going to use Irish sugar beet or something like that? How's it going to be so strong and so dark, the rum?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because we haven't mentioned rum, obviously. We will definitely be producing some rum. Actually, all of our rum at the moment, at least, will be from Muscovado sugar. We specifically didn't want to take the molasses route. We tried both.
It's just
we found it. We had better flavor profile that's more drinkable in a short time frame from Muscovado.
So
yeah. I also happen to have a little scally, as we would say, and I see you're going to be making pot still mezcal, Irish pot still mezcal. Like, in terms of one then from left field, that happens. That's Fermanagh growing agave plants. So where'd that come from? How did this come about? The more point, where are you cutting your agaves from? How's this work?
That was an April Fool.
All right, okay. I was sort of wondering.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, we said we were going to be doing the first mezcal. Can you imagine the heaters you would need with the electric prices going?
No,
polytunnels. Yeah.
All I would say is I would get Justin in to cut them. You know, the Javador, whatever you call him. I would get him in to do it because Justin loves manual labour. He will work for food.
Well, listen, surely as a pharmacist, you could get the license to grow the sort of the agave plants alongside a pharmaceutical grade sort of weed, and that would cover the cost, because that's the interview I'm doing tomorrow at 12 noon.
How much time do you think I have? I have a pub and a distillery. I ain't got time to grow anything. That's
PSNI, Police Service of Northern Ireland. If you happen to be watching, they're not growing marijuana in any way, shape, or form. Just a disclaimer.
Our beer garden will be very busy this weekend. People will be wondering what's going on in the pods.
Yeah, yes, everything will be much. You don't sell bongs. But you do have a couple of products up for sale. You do have a rum and also a gin up for sale as well currently.
So the rum and gin we have at the moment is just under the Dog and Duck brand. It's our flavouring, but we don't actually make it here. We've had it contract made by a friend of ours actually on the mainland, and it was flavours we wanted to deliver when we didn't have our stills here, and we wanted to open the pub with something that we could relate to. So that's what we've done. But yeah, you can buy it. It'll be under the Dog and Duck brand.
You buy it from the website?
Not a Glenwinny product, no.
No, but you can buy it from the website.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to the website, anybody's interested, go to the website. And I always think these things give you an indication of what people are in their head, even subliminally. You know, we like this. That gives you an indication of, that's something that they're going to probably aim for at style of in some way.
We've had really great feedback actually about the spiced rum. Our gin is lovely and it's more of a classic kind of savoury. We're big gin drinkers, but we're just big drinkers in general. Welcome
to my world.
The spiced rum, we've had some really great feedback actually. I think because rum, it's in a place where, yes, it is becoming more popular and people are really trying things, but people have said, like, I had one guy who said, have the rum, I don't drink it, but it's great. I don't drink rum, but I drink it here. So, yeah. So
I heard someone ask a question today, are you in the pub trade? To which the answer was, no, I'm from Tyrone. Yeah, I think he misheard, but I found it funny. That's the kind of thing I find funny. Now, time-wise, when's the stills going to get fired up? I know you're in commissioning stage now. Are we talking weeks or months?
Yeah, we're talking weeks.
Yeah. Probably maybe 4 to 6 weeks sort of thing. Obviously,
max. Yeah.
We've got a lot of testing runs to go through. You know, the whole thing has to be.
Our gas man has to be very satisfied. So.
Very satisfied.
But yeah, we're weeks away. We're not.
But no, we've got plans for what our first mash is going to be, and we'll get on that with that. Well, the first few runs will be sugar based, just obviously because we'll be exposed to those anyway. Then we'll do some rum. Do some runs with rum, just to get feel for the because whilst we're doing it on a small scale, sort of 50-litre batch scale. Moving up to 500-litre batch is another thing. So just then we can get a feel for timing and stuff like that. Yeah. And then we'll run on to probably some single malts to start with.
Yeah. There is a timeline on the website here.
Yeah.
You're going to try and stick to that then.
Yeah. Well, it's not far off.
No.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, a spirits trade, everything is evolving. So
yeah. And
slightly off. Then.
Yeah, and everything seems to be a jog until the last bit, and then most people tell me it's an absolute sprint. The last bit to try and get everything, because there's always going to be an issue. You just know there's somebody with a clipboard going to come out and say, "Oh no, this This regulation doesn't meet the standard SP7Q/8. Oh, fuck. Hell. Right, but they all have to do their job. I try and be nice. You are going to be open for tours. Is that? It's basically as soon as the distillery opens or is up and running, you'll be open?
So we're hoping that we're trying to marry in both the sides. So we're hoping to do tours and dinner and tasting together. There you go, Justin.
Justin's big face, big smile.
Oh yes, we'll be down to video that. I have it here. It's ready to clip on. Look, it's all ready to go.
So, any ideas of sort of capacity? I mean, will you be able to take coach loads or walk-ins, or was it small groups? Because I imagine you're not a massive. It's not a massive site. So, what sort of scale tourism wise?
Well, our fire capacity is 150. So
Yeah.
Okay,
so we'll stick to that. But really, to be comfortable, probably, I imagine we can probably do 50.
15?
No, 45, 50 seated for dinner.
Yeah.
In the distillery area. So we've got a couple of little areas. And if you were to come for dinner and tours, then we'd probably maybe cut that up into smaller, maybe 10, 15 at a time for tours, because the area is quite small. But then we'd probably everyone eat again at the same time. So
so you
coach tourism. It's suitable for coach tourism.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. You'll take a coach at a time. Yeah. That's perfect. It's a little bigger than a lot of some of them, to be honest. Now, you mentioned poachings. So is that going to be something? Because I find poaching really quite exciting area as well.
There's a lot of. We've had some real up and downs with, it's such an interesting area to explore and try.
Yeah.
And we've been really lucky to start this at a time when there's so many of the other distilleries exploring and, trying new things. And we've been following quite a few of the other Irish distilleries, and they've come on leaps and bounds. Some of the stuff that was produced just 3 years ago has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very, we can't say yet what ours would look like, but it's definitely an exciting space to be in.
But you're definitely going to do poaching.
I think it's probably worth it, to be honest. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's one of those things. The more people do it, the more everybody will benefit from people doing it.
The one thing that we'll really look forward to is be able to take those spirits made in house and serve them in our bar. So have our own recipe. Whether it's a cocktail you put it into or you drink it straight and sip it. We can just play around with that and create.
And I think that's actually one thing that we haven't touched on is because of the relationship between the distillery and the pub, we will have certain products. Well, majority of our products really for kind of market research wise that you can only buy in the pub.
Mm-hmm.
So you will only be able to taste this particular batch here, give us your feedback. And then we'll have a new batch and we'll just, so we're kind of cheating a little bit. We get like a bit of market research at the same time, but also people come to kind of taste what this batch is, and we'll let people know what's on at the moment. And it'll just kind of, it will be the only area you won't be able to buy bottles, but you can come and
buy the measures.
Buy the measures, kind of get a sample, see what you give us some feedback about it, that kind of thing. So
that makes perfect sense. I think it absolutely does. Now, what I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Justin being the devil. Tell us about your food provision. What sort of style of food, and does it come in big quantities for little money or little quantities for big money?
So if you go and have a little look on our website, as you see below, glenwinny.com, we've got as soon as you get in there in the dog and duck, you'll see current menus. So it's really important that our menus are reflective of a country pub, which is what we are effectively. So we like to always have some game on there. We've always got a venison shank on, and then we've just changed our menu there just the Thursday before Easter, and we're kind of getting into spring, so we're thinking about kind of less heavier dishes, but there are some mainstays. So the venison never comes off. The steak,
it's lovely.
The steak and the majority of our meat is purchased from our local butcher, who's just around the corner, and all our steaks are 28-day aged. And our chef is fantastic. So we have been very lucky because he's really been able to take that weight off us with what's going on with the distillery and the pub. And he's cooking what he loves. which is sometimes some old school classic desserts. I think we had
people love them.
Coconut sponge last weekend.
Thank God. I don't have a sweet tooth, but honestly, whenever you go into a bar or into a restaurant or any of these things today, an authentic Irish restaurant serving tagliatelle.
Yeah, no, we did.
And and it's that kind of thing. And I think people are sort of that's what you get in a restaurant these days. And there's nothing wrong with good old classic Irish food.
Well, we're not. Yeah, we can't be all things to all people. And
No,
I think
of course you
the
can't.
sooner you realise that in any walk of life, the better your life will be.
Yeah.
We don't do the kind of classic thing that there's curry and pasta. No, we stick to locally sourced meat. Our beef burgers are fantastic. They never come off. We use relishes and other Irish produced. We try and keep to local produce. We're very heavy on the meat, but we do offer a vegetarian menu, but not vegan. Unfortunately, we're big butter fans. So
butter ain't nothing. Butter never made anything taste bad. That's all I will say. Nothing. Nobody who had lots of like their food ever said, "Hold on the butter there." Maybe if you're in a diet. But no, there's nothing wrong with a lot of butter.
So traditional food in good servings, I would say.
Traditional food with whiskey made on site. That sounds like a sort of winning combination. Me and him would probably both enjoy that. No problem at all. But so
listen, the thing that intrigues me most about the menu is I do love a Sunday brunch menu. You see, anywhere that caters for Sunday brunch, this is going out on Saturday night. We could make it down there in the morning, Marty. You pick me up, and we'll be down there in the morning for this.
I'll do you a deal. You drive, and I'll go. How's that sound?
I have to go the other way to come back to get you.
I know, but that's all right. That's all right. I'll buy you lunch. How's that sound? Or brunch?
All right. Okay.
Listen,
I'll drive.
That sounds like a plan to me. Keep us up to date with what's going on. Let us know, because it's nice to see people doing this kind of thing, and a project from start to finish, all on site, all doing a thing, and keeping it sort of as traditional as possible. So listen, stay in touch. John, Margaret, take care.
Thank you very much.
We've been cloned. We've been cloned.
President Cheese cloned us. No, but honestly, and really, really nice people. We had a nice chat off air and stuff about bits and pieces and some of the difficulties they've had, and this is a really nice project. People who have set up, done, bought a bar, food. Look at easy face. Look at easy food. So as soon as you say food, doing the distilling stuff as well. Yeah, poaching. Whiskies, poachings, we're going to be doing rums and gins and all manner of stuff, and good on them, So yeah,
great show tonight, double dunter.
Aye, we've got other stuff coming up now too. There's loads of stuff. I
know. Can we tell them yet? Can we say the word? No.
Don't be saying that to anybody. Because we just know. We just know that somebody's going to turn around and say, "Oh, I can't make it that week." What's Frank saying here? I prefer listening to people.
I prefer listening to people talking about what they're producing and proposing their passion and what they're doing, much better than talking about unrealistic provisos that whiskey that would never be drunk. Yes, but we have to tell you that because it's the news. I mean, it's interesting. It's flabbergasting, some of it, isn't it?
It's one of those things. I mean, there's these people who are starting this small distillery, and it's okay. It's going to cost them a lot of money, but I mean, it's not the astronomical fees. You'll be able to go in and buy locally craft produced stuff, produced on site, produced with a bit of care, with a bit of passion, at affordable prices.
Tony Sillett's asking, does he have time for toast?
Aye.
When I tell you, all I want to do is I want to hold your bags in the way out to the States to see the Devil's Cast. That's what I want to do, Tony.
Our friends over at the Devil's Cast, they were good fun too. But yeah, we sort of try and do everything. Try and be all things to all people. Talk about the high end stuff and stuff that will never get you taste or never get you drink, really. But unfortunately, that's one aspect of the market. The other stuff.
He's mentioned the Marmite word. Can we delete him now? Can I block him now, Marty?
No, I love Marmite.
I hate it.
No, I know what I made tonight, Justin. I fried it. Oh, shut up. I fried a steak with onions, and I fried it, flipped it over, cooking it just the way I like it, medium rare, big thick steak it was, and then put a nice spoonful of marmite over the top of it, and then just coated it in that beautiful, beautiful yeasty. It became like a coating in a sauce. It was,
that's your umami thing. That's a load of nonsense. That would be banned. Dear Rishi Sunak, I suggest a law of banning putting Marmite in steak. Awful.
Dear Rishi Sunak, put Justin in charge of the health service and then see what happens. You think it's bad now?
I know. War crime tribunal. I would be at. There you go. Right. All right.
Guys, going to say bye-bye.
Night. Remember, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitch, we're on Telegram. We're not on TikTok because we give up.
Delete TikTok, everybody.
Delete it now. And we're on Instagram. And if you ask the smart speaker, wherever you get your podcast, you'll hear us too. Good night.
Good night.